skeleton crew here, and we're doing our best to make sure that orders are filled and everybody's got what they need. So don't hesitate if you still are at work or the lab needs anything from us. We're still here to serve you. Anyway, welcome. We've got a great webinar this morning called Maximizing Your Production with Roland DWX Wet and Dry Mills. And we've got Ian O'Neill from Roland doing the webinar, which I'm very happy about. My name is Bernie Jaroslaw. I'm the marketing manager at Whitmix, and I'll be facilitating this morning's webinar. So a couple things, housekeeping items, if you will. First of all, if you want to ask any questions, and I'm sure you will, please type them in. You'll see in the control panel, you'll see a place where you can open the question box and write in there anything you'd like to know, and then I will see them and I'll ask those questions of Ian at the end. Next, if you are a CDT, the webinar is approved for an hour of CE credit towards your recertification. And in order to do that, within 1 to 2 days, you'll receive an email. As long as you're registered with this webinar, you will receive an email, and that will give us it'll explain to you how to do it. We're going to send a test. You'll send the test back to us, the answers to the test, very simple, true and false. And then we'll send you the certificate, which you'll then send into the NBC in order to get your credit. And then lastly, this is being recorded. So within a day to two, again, this will be up on our website in the webinar section, right on our homepage. There's a link to webinars, and it'll be in the CAD/CAM section of our webinars, and it'll also be up on our YouTube channel. This is great if you want to review it, if you have somebody who missed it and wants to see it, or anyone who needs additional CE credit is able to watch this later on. So this morning I have the pleasure of introducing Ian. Ian's an Eastern US sales manager at Roland DGA, DGSHAPE, formal name. He comes from a family-owned dental lab in Connecticut, where he studied under his dad for 12 years. Ian also has experience as a CAD/CAM installation and training specialist in dental materials. He's a dental materials specialist and a sales trainer. So it is his passion to assist labs in successfully implementing new workflows and equipment. So the timing of this is really good, where everybody has time to learn and use newfound knowledge when you return to the lab, hopefully somewhat soon. Today, Ian's going to talk about how today's dental CAD/CAM technology offers a broad scope of solutions and workflows, and how Roland Mills can play a critical part in those workflows. So you've all read what this is about, or you wouldn't have probably signed on. So I won't read all that, but I will say, Ian, that if you're ready, let's talk about Roland Mills, which we love here at Whitmix. Go ahead, Ian.
Thank you, Bernie. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to partner with Whitmix, one of our best partners out in the market. If you guys are ever looking for anything as far as Roland Mills or support, you really can't get too much better than the Whitmix team. Corey and Evan over there are top notch. So if you're looking to partner with somebody for milling equipment, they are a great solution. So as you know, obviously we're in an interesting time in the country and the world right now, where things are kind of turned upside down. Everybody seems to be home. We want to offer as much educational content and information to you as possible as we go through this time. We hope that you're all healthy, happy at home, and even though I'm sure this has impacted your business in some way, hopefully it has not touched your family directly. So with that, as Bernie said, I come from a family laboratory. I had 12 years of experience working for my father in a lab in New Haven, Connecticut, where I worked in virtually every department for a number of years, working my way through until about 6 years ago. I finished with their metal-free department, doing all the Emax and zirconia restorations, where I transitioned at that point to a sales training and education manager with another dealer. And at that point, I became a manager of the technical support team, and then transitioned into a sales trainer with that company before joining Roland over here. So my background and my experience really gives me a unique perspective on the industry, the technology, and the workflows and where they're going. So I always love talking to you. Some of you may have met me before. Thank you for joining. If you're ever at a show, there's a good chance I'm there. So come by the Roland booth, the DGSHAPE booth, and I would be happy to meet and talk to you. So today we're going to be talking about maximizing your production with Roland DWX wet and dry mills. So maximizing your production can mean a variety of things. Obviously, you have a lot of choices today out in the market as you choose equipment. And you may notice Roland does not offer a hybrid piece of equipment, which would be a wet-dry combination machine. There's a number of reasons that we believe that keeping them separate at this time is the correct thing to do. And as we go through this presentation today, I'm going to explain some of those reasons to you. So with that, jump to the next slide. Our agenda is going to be pretty simple. We're going to do an overview of all of the mills that we offer today. And as I go through each one of those mills, we're going to be talking about some workflows that go into them. So the next topic we will cover will be the Denture TRK system, which is the Denture Time Reduction Kit, TRK, milled RPDs, and the new Ak1, which some of you probably have not heard of at this point. Maybe if you were in Chicago, you took a trip by the Roland ballroom upstairs and saw this new application that we are going to be having coming out in the very, very near future. So we're excited to talk about that. And lastly, we're going to be covering production benefits of choosing a Roland mill and what types of bundles we have to offer to allow you to maximize your production in your business. So first, why Roland? Where does Roland come from? So Roland has been in a number of industries. Some of you, if you are familiar with the music industry, have seen Roland keyboards, synthesizers, speakers, Boss guitar pedals. That was the main industry when the company had started a number of years ago. From there, we've moved on to plotting machines, all kinds of milling and engraving machines, which really led us down the path that we're on to dental milling. So all of this expertise translated perfectly over into dental milling when zirconia and milled pucks became so large. So that takes us to where we are today with our flagship mill, the DWX 52 DCI, which Roland and DGSHAPE is the #1 choice of Roland mills here in the US. We're very happy and proud to say that. So our lineup as it stands today is the DWX 42W, which is our wet milling option for block type materials. Our next option would be the DWX 52D, which is the older brother to the 51D, which some of you may have, or the DWX 50, which is really what catapulted us into the dental milling industry. And as I stated before on the previous slide, our flagship machine and most popular unit as it stands today, the DWX 52 DCI. First, we're going to talk about the overview and the features of the DWX 52D. We see over here on the left, the machine itself. When you purchase this machine is going to include 6 disc adapters. So you have your discs, whatever material, PMMA, zirconia, wax that you're going to place inside of your machine. We moved away from the clamping devices and clamping systems we used in previous mills to kind of streamline the process of putting your work in and out of the machine, and also protecting the edges of your puck. So some of you who maybe have a 50 or have had a 51 have noticed if you don't keep up with the maintenance and the cleaning of your clamping system, there can be chips or chunks of material, debris that would cause fracturing of the edges of your puck, which in excessive cases could render that puck useless prior to its completion. So what we did is we created a new system where you secure your puck into the fixture and simply slide it in and out of the machine. We will get a better look at that in some later slides. So it comes with 6 of those disc adapters. We offer automatic machine calibration. Some other units out in the market, they require you to mill an object out and then measure it by hand with a micrometer and enter those values into the computer system. Now, the calibration is what guarantees the accuracy of your mill. So when you are adding a human element to that, like a miscalibrated micrometer, or maybe somebody measuring a wrong side or just entering a value incorrectly, the chances of mistakes being made increases drastically. So with our system, you're placing a metal calibration device inside of the machine, and the machine automatically goes through the steps in under 10 minutes giving your machine a perfect calibration. So simple and streamlined operations is what we're all about. We also offer a disc adapter rack. So those 6 disc adapters that I talked to you about before allows you to organize your materials and your discs on your desktop or on top of your mill, preventing them from stacking on top of each other, keeping them cleaner, and keeping them from suffering from microfractures from stacking. So it's a nice little feature. We also offer the vPanel software, which is free from our website. It is basically the brain and the command center of your mill. It tells your mill when to start, stop, calibrate, and tracks all of your tooling information. All of that is available on the website. The mill is a 5-axis mill, so it is capable of 5-axis simultaneous milling, which is very important. Today, the popularity of full arch screw retained restorations, whether it's plastic or zirconia, is much, much higher than it was in previous years. So it seems like at this point, their design teams are so comfortable with these larger restorations and milling them out. It's very important to have this 5-axis option. So it's going to allow you to mill all of the undercuts of maybe some gingival areas or interproximal areas of large bridges, as well as access the screw holes where your abutments or tie bases will be fitting. So the 5-axis is going to allow for optimum milling results. We also offer precision ball screw drive system. So anyone who is familiar with the DWX 50 knows that that system used a pulley and wire drive system to move the axes around the machine, to move the spindle up and down from left to right. So over time, those wires can stretch, they need to be tightened. So we moved away from that type of system once the 51 was released to allow for more accuracy and more consistency and less maintenance inside the machine. So another upgrade there. And again, anyone who is familiar with the 51 or the 50, our previous machines required the user to adjust their air pressure by hand based on the type of material that they're using. So with the 52, what we've done is we've made an automatic adjustment inside the machine. The machine will read which type of file or material is going to be milled inside of the unit and automatically adjust the air pressure. Now, the air pressure in a Roland mill is used specifically to blow mill debris away from the milling area. It is not used to drive the axes in whatever direction they need to move in. So that allows for very low air consumption, and with the automatic air pressure control simplifies things that the end user needs to do. We also have a built-in ionizer for easy PMMA cleanup. Anyone who has milled PMMA in the past, regardless of the machine, if you don't have an ionizer, it's great to be able to mill PMMA, a variety of options, whether it's temporaries, temporary full arches, RPDs, or even milled denture at this point. Once static gets onto that material, it sticks to everything inside of the milling chamber. So that ionizer reduces the static, allowing the mill debris to drop to the back of the machine and be evacuated out of the back of the unit itself. The next bullet point here is user replaceable spindle. That is one of the key things you should think about when purchasing a mill. With our machine, the 51 and up, so that's the 51, the 52D, and the 52 DCI, these spindles are user replaceable. There's a simple drop-down hatch in the back of the unit. 4 screws removes the spindle, and you are able to replace it on your own. It would not void any warranty if you decided to take this workflow on yourself. We do provide you a replacement video. So it's about a 20-minute video, and in about 20 minutes, a first-time user who's going to be replacing the spindle for the first time would be able to go through this with no trouble whatsoever. We also offer an optional cleaning tool. So the cleaning tool looks like a small paintbrush. It would be placed inside of the machine, and as jobs are completed, it would pick up that paintbrush tool and remove any mill debris from the cavity. So anybody who's familiar with zirconia workflows, if you're to cut your restoration out of your zirconia puck, there could be powdered zirconia inside of the cavity. If you're to remove the restoration, place it inside of the sintering oven without cleaning the cavity, it can cause some problems when you go ahead and try to fit that crown or bridge onto the prep itself or onto the die. So it's a nice option to have. It is not required. So if you decided it's not something that you need, you do not have to use that as an option in your workflow. We do offer 15 tool holders inside of the machine. So you have 15 slots for tools. You can have a bank of zirconia, a bank of PMMA, and a bank of backup tools. Backup tools would be picked up once your tool life has expired on a job. So it's a very nice feature to have if you are running larger jobs overnight while nobody's in house. It would allow you to choose that fresh tool and guarantee you optimal cutting surface when you come in the next morning. Last but not least is the storage drawer on the bottom of the unit. May seem silly, but it's a very, very nice feature to have to keep all of your accessories organized. I'm sure most of you here have worked in a lab before, and it's very easy in a laboratory for things like waxing tools, your razor knife, an implant screwdriver to go missing. So to be able to have a place to store all of your accessories and tools for the machine right in the machine itself is very, very convenient. It's a nice feature to have. Some other specifications for the mill itself. The materials that can be milled inside of this unit are zirconia, wax, PMMA, composite resins, PEEK, Pecton, or Trilor materials for substructures, gypsum, which would be stone if you were choosing to mill models, fiberglass reinforced resin, which would be a harvest Trilor material, or chrome cobalt sintered metal. Chrome cobalt sintered metal is a soft version of a metal that would require you to place that material into an argon furnace after you mill it. So you would need a special sintering furnace for that material. Inside of our dry mills, you cannot mill hard metals. Something that people may not realize that we are making a point of touching on is the ability of these machines to mill composite hybrid block materials. So if it's inlays, onlays, something like a Vita and EMIC material, we do have a holder, and we do have a special tool called the hybrid tool that would allow you to mill those materials dry inside of this unit. So that's a great option to have as well. Maximum spindle speed is 30,000 RPMs at its max. The A axis rotates at 360 degrees, and the rotary axis in the B, which is important for those undercut areas and large restorations, is 30 degrees in the B axis. So air compatibility or air consumption is very, very low. It's one of the great features of our milling equipment. We always try to make the air consumption as low as possible, so it's not as invasive to your working environment. So just because you're running your mill, we don't want you to have to stop using your sandblaster or stop using your high speed at your bench. We want to keep those air consumption levels very low. So for this unit, the PSI required for this machine is 23 PSI, which is minimal. Operating noise. So the operating noise when this machine is cutting isn't the mill itself, it's more of the suction unit. So basically it would be as loud as your household vacuum cleaner running, potentially quieter. So we have our dimensions here. The weight of the unit is just under 150 pounds, and loadable work pieces. So inside this machine, in those material adapters, you can place a 98.5 millimeter diameter disc with a 10 millimeter step. So this is the standard spec for most pucks out in the market today. So the minimum height, the shortest puck that you'd be able to put inside of this machine is 10 millimeters in height, and the maximum height of a puck you would be able to use inside this machine is 35 millimeters max. And that is our 52D. Next up, it's Big Brother, the DWX 52 DCI. If you know the 52D, we just reviewed it, most of the specs and most of the product features are exactly the same as the 52. What we've done is really we've just added an additional cabinet that houses 6 pucks, and it has a traverser arm which moves those pucks in and out of the machine. So you can basically produce work all night with nobody there on site. So no third shift, load up your work, go home, come in the morning, and remove your pucks. So we have the automatic disc changer. It utilizes a barcode reader to read each one of those adapters that we see here on the left to make sure it's picking up the proper puck for the right job. Sends it over to the milling chamber and starts the milling process. We also offer a new performance software, which I will touch on in a coming up slide here, called DW Index, which gives you the ability to track really what you're doing inside of the mill, what tools you're using the most of, what shades you're using the most of, thickness of puck, which machines you have that are being used the most. So it allows you to maybe streamline your purchasing. If you have a purchasing person, they can look at maybe we don't need to stock this many C2s or B3s. We're using the majority of A3s and A35s. So it can really be a beneficial software, and it is available for you on our website for free. So again, we have the optical barcode reader to scan the holders, automatic calibration, just like the 52D. Comes with the V-panel software. This is also a 5-axis mill and also utilizes the ball screw drive system, automatic air pressure control, built-in ionizer for easy PMMA cleanup. Again, a user replaceable spindle, very important. Optional cleaning tool, and again, that 15 tool changer, which is even more important when you expect this machine to be running pretty much 24 hours a day. One of the nice things to know is when a job is milling inside of the milling chamber and you have empty slots, you can actually open that cabinet door, remove finished work, or add new pucks that would need to be milled. So you are able to open that cabinet and add pucks while the machine is running. Here's a quick look at that performance software that I was talking about. So it's going to give you information, as I discussed, shades that you're using the most of, what your tool life is, and all of this great information that you've really never been able to produce before unless you're tracking this manually. So you can generate reports, hand it to your purchasing person, or just review, maybe when it's time for maintenance on certain machines, track the hours of use on the unit itself. So just like the 52D, the specs, the material specs on this machine are the same. Zirconia wax PMMA, composite hybrids, PEEK, Pecton, Trilors, gypsum, fiberglass reinforced material, and that chrome cobalt sinter metal. 360 degrees, 360 degrees in the A axis. The B is 30 degrees. This machine is just like the 52D, 23 PSI air consumption. Weighs in a little bit heavier than the other unit at 231 pounds, and the loadable workpiece is exactly the same, industry standard, just like the 52D. 98.5 millimeter puck, shortest puck 10 millimeters, and the maximum thickness for a puck would be 35. One of the great things about this new system that we've come up with for the material puck holders, or the adapters rather, is you can transition between either of the milling solutions, the 52D or the DCI. Maybe when you jumped into CAD/CAM, you bought a 52D, you didn't have the bandwidth or the need for the changer at the time, but as you've grown your business, you've added a DCI. So the 52D came with 6 of these material adapters. Now your new DCI came with 6 as well. So between the two machines, you now have 12 adapters, and you can place them in either machine back and forth. Whatever work needs to be performed, you can throw that disc into the mill and be up and running. So they are not assigned specifically to that machine. So when we talk about dry milling, we want to know what are the new applications that we can perform in these mills. So what we're going to talk about now is the time reduction kit. So this is for removable denture. If you've been to Chicago, maybe you've seen one of my webinars or seen me at a show somewhere. We have a nice kit that we have laid out. And obviously one of the most popular things out in the industry right now is finding new ways to produce removable work digitally. So taking it digital out of that traditional removable department. So the TRK is a great option for that. So the TRK kit is a great cost-effective solution to be able to produce your own discs in-house. So your own material pucks. So one thing that people don't necessarily like about print is some of the characteristics or strengths of that material. People don't want to change. When you're changing a workflow, you don't want to change your material as well. You want to keep some of those comfort qualities, keep that material that you've been working with for 20, 30 years. So what we do is we give you the ability to take your traditional denture acrylic and pour it into a mold to generate your own pucks. So you're creating them on demand, you can stock them, you have as many shades as your acrylic company might offer. It's very common to have 7 or 8 options, even a clear at times. So it's cost effective, and we're going to talk about the cost of pouring your own puck here in an upcoming slide. So simple tooth setting when you're actually milling out your denture base. In print from time to time, I've worked with some local laboratories who are printing dentures, and one of their biggest complaints, it's fast and it's a decent solution, but they've complained about tooth fit into the socket of the printed base. So what we've noticed with the milled options, so milled teeth and milled base, the fits are great. They're very passive. You know, you create some mechanical retentions in the bottoms of those teeth, and you use a little bit of acrylic like a glue in the sockets, press the teeth down, wipe away the excess. And in some cases, depending on your acrylic, it is light curable. So you go ahead and pop it in a light cure oven, and now you have your milled denture teeth fixed to your milled denture base. Fast turnaround times. So in about 4 hours, you can produce a final complete denture. So that would be teeth and base. So now if you have a machine like a DCI, and you're using it all day long for your crown and bridge production, before you leave at night, you can load up 4 denture base pucks, 2 PMMA pucks, load them into your machine, start it, come in the morning, and remove your 4 denture bases and your 4 sets of teeth. In the morning, as you walk in, you have 4 dentures ready to be assembled and sent out the door. So if you're somebody who already has a DCI and is maybe thinking about jumping into removable, you haven't before, this is a great option to get you up and running with equipment that you already have. So improved milling technology refers to some of the tools that are utilized in this process. So if you're familiar with milling already, you're familiar with a 2mm ball end tool, which is a rounded end tool, which is utilized in zirconia milling. So it's the tool that does the roughing. Now, because this material is so hard, it does take a little bit longer to mill. So with our partners with Sim Systems and with tooling companies, what we've done is taken a look at how can we make this workflow faster? And to do that, Roland has decided to go with a 2mm flat end tool. So it's a larger cutting diameter, it's cutting a larger surface, and it's removing that roughing material, that bulk material quicker, which is going to bring our milling times down. So it's a cleaner workflow, obviously a lot less manual steps than traditional denture, and it cuts out some of the steps of a printed denture, like the washing process where you have the sticky resin all over the place and the light curing procedure. So it's a cleaner workflow, simpler workflow. One of the best parts about this is it's a long-term material. You know, we've been using these acrylics for a number of years. You know, some of you may have been maybe doing removable for the past 30 years and working with this material. You're comfortable, you're confident in it, your doctors are familiar with it, and the patients who maybe you're making a replacement denture for are expecting that same look and feel from the prosthetic that you're giving them. So because it's a traditional acrylic, it makes it simple to reline or repair. Same process as you would normally perform, so it's a great option. Simple post-procedure adjustments. Once you do that bonding technique with a little bit of the acrylic, like a glue, gluing them together, you know, you can texture your denture base, you know, customize it any way you want to make it look as aesthetic as possible. So everything is going to stay the same as your final post-production adjustments, you know, your polish. The one thing that we recommend is after you bond the teeth before polish, you take something like a clear GC flowable acrylic, some sort of a flowable composite rather, and put it along the CEJ to seal up that CEJ. If we don't do that step, there's a potential if somebody's not taking great care of their denture, they could get that black bacteria line over time. So by using that material along the CEJ and light curing it, we're assuring a seal. Okay, so good tip. So if you are to purchase this kit, what comes with it? So if you already have a Roland mill and it's a 52 machine, a 52D, a 52 DC, or a 52 DCI, this workflow will work with your current mill. What you're going to get in the kit when you purchase it is 6 of these full arch silicone molds that you see up top. You're going to get 6 silicone plates to create a barrier between them if you were to stack them during the polymerizing process. You're going to receive 1 of the 2mm flat end carbide tools that you put inside of your mill. You're going to get these mold tips, which we will see in the next slide. You're going to get 3 of these blue TRK fixtures. So when you pour your puck, it's going to be an arch shape, and that's going to fit inside of this blue fixture. And that blue fixture simulates the diameter of a 98.5mm disc and will drop into your material adapter perfectly. And last but not least, the leveling spatula, just in case you need to, in case you overpour and you need to remove or level any acrylic that you poured into the mold itself. What does the workflow look like? So how do you develop your own acrylic disc? So starting over here on the left, you're going to mix your acrylic and your monomer as you normally would. You're going to take your mold over to your lab vibrator, in your model and die department, wherever it may be. You're going to add the clear clips. If you look at that image, you see those clear clips. That's what's going to fix the poured puck into the jig, that TRK jig. You're going to pour in. If you can pour a model, you can pour a puck. You want to make sure you don't have any bubbles. People always ask about porosity. As long as you're careful and you're familiar with pouring, stone, gypsum, you should be able to perform this very easily. You're going to go ahead at that point, put the mold into a pressure pot. I strongly recommend using the pressure pot where you apply the air pressure. We do not, I haven't had great success when you apply heat to the pressure pots. I've always had much better success when you're applying the air pressure with a couple of inches of warm water in the bottom of the pot itself. So you're gonna go ahead and polymerize. Now, when you're pouring, when you're mixing, when you're polymerizing, we recommend that you follow the instructions that your acrylic provider has given you. So don't go ahead, we don't have instructions for mixing, polymerizing times, or pressure that you should be using. Follow the instructions that are provided from the acrylic manufacturer. So once polymerized and in the fixture and milled, this is what your final restoration should look like here. So let's talk about the cost of a puck. So if you're going to go ahead and buy a pre-manufactured puck, so a manufacturer has made this denture-based puck for you, you could be paying as high as $100 to $125 for a high-quality puck, or your standard puck in the industry right now is about $60 or $65. Now, for this ROI that I did here, where we made this denture here on the bottom in the image that you see, I used GC Nature Krill, which is a great product. And the cost of pouring your own puck with that material, based off of the ROI that I did, is $21.42 per puck that you're pouring. So you're $21 into this denture form material. When you look at a $65 puck compared to a $21 puck, it's obviously quite a bit of savings. And you also have the ability to not have to stock as much. So you're pouring them on demand. If you have 3 or 4 different shades that you're using, you can make these very quickly, and you don't have to order, wait for things to be shipped, and have inventory sitting on the shelf, never knowing what kind of denture shade is going to come through the door the next day. So it offers you some very nice flexibility. So if you are a current Roland user and you're interested in this, the great news for this is, as long as you're current on your SimSystems Millbox software, you can download the add-on for your Millbox software for free from the website. You need to have a 2018 or newer license and you will be able to get this. If you are farther behind, there will obviously be an upgrade fee. I recommend you talking to the Whitmix team to figure out how you would handle that. So those add-ons are available from the DGSHAPE.USA.com website. You can download them for free. It's a 1-minute installer, very, very simple procedure. So RPDs, it's becoming more and more popular. People are getting away from casting and finishing metal. So metal frameworks for RPDs. And now people are looking at these PMMA type materials, these flexible RPD materials, whether it's clear, tooth shade, or gingiva shade solutions. So now the biggest problem with this workflow was the milling time. So it could take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours, an overnight job, for you to mill out an RPD. So what we've done with our partners is taken a look at how can we speed up this process. And to do that, what we've done is we've come up with a 3mm flat end tool. So just like that 2mm flat tool, but this one is a 3. It's going to do bulk reduction much quicker, and it's going to be saving you about 40 to 50% off of that milling time. So it can take a 3.5-hour milling job down to about 1.5 hours of milling time, which is significantly different than going the traditional route, having to wax up, invest, bench rest, cast, let it cool, break it out, metal finish it, and then go to process. So again, with a DCI machine, if you are to go with one of these flexible plastic materials to take your RPD workflow digital. This is a really great solution that's cost effective and can save you quite a bit of time. So here's a quick look at an RPD that was milled out of a clear flexible material. And this job here that we see took an hour and a half to mill. So once you would produce this frame itself, you would take it and you would process it as you normally would any other metal framework. So in our lineup, last but not least, is the DWX 42W, which, as you can see inside of the machine and on the image on the right side, mills block type materials. You may be familiar with, or maybe you had the DWX 4W previously. This is an upgrade from that machine. We recognized that there were some changes that needed to be made, and we made them. So we reduced the air requirements. So in the old DWX 4W, the air requirements on that machine were over 125 PSI at all times. So that was not ideal. You know, we had situations where these were put into a practice or a laboratory. And like I said before, now your sandblaster is shut down. Now your high-speed hand pieces are shut down. Anything that uses air could be compromised. We can't have that. You know, we got to have the labs up and running. You know, we care about your operation. So we made the proper adjustments. We redesigned the spindle. Now the spindle is made by DGSHAPE, our internal group ourselves. And we were able to reduce those air requirements down to 44 PSI. So if you remember, the dry mill's 23 PSI and the wet mill 44 PSI, which is very, very low. We've also increased the milling speeds for the machine. Before it could have taken 35 to 40 minutes for a restoration to be milled in the 4W. Now in the 42W, we've created a new milling strategy as well as a new tool that is going to remove excess material to allow your restorations to be cut much quicker. So always a benefit. Restorations in this machine, depending on your material type and the quality in which you choose, high definition or standard quality, could be anywhere from 15 to 18 minutes up to 30 to 35 for the high quality option. And this will mill any type of hybrid material, glass ceramic material, lithium silicate, lithium disilicate, that has that CEREC universal type mandrel. It will accept those types of blocks. We've also added LAN connectivity. Previously, we only had USB connections with our equipment. And in this machine, because we recognize that this could potentially be used for a chair side option by a doctor in a practice, we want to give flexibility for the lab and a practice to be able to place this anywhere they want. So with a USB cable, it's never recommended to run a USB cable over 10 feet because of feedback or distortion of the communication between the PC and the mill itself. So the LAN connectivity gives you the ability to place it anywhere inside of your building at a much farther distance. New high quality milling goods. So I already talked about milling quality a little bit, but previously in the 4W, we only had one type of tool. In this machine, we now have two types of tool. Our standard, which is going to give you a quicker crown because it's going to use a heavier grit type tool to mill the material away. Now we've also come out with a high quality tool, a much finer, smaller grit diamond that is going to remove the material a little bit slower, but it's going to give you optimal milling in the cavity to make sure that your fits are perfect, your margins are sharp, your surface quality is clean, and your anatomy is very, very detailed. So you have the choice. Is speed your go-to, or do you want the best quality option possible? So that we leave that up to you. We want it to be open. So inside the machine itself, we have 6 tool holders. So you can set up backup tools, or you can have a mixture of both standard quality and high quality tools. The new tools are called the ZGB2 tools. They are only used in the 42W. If you have the 4W, I'm sorry, they're not being utilized inside that machine. 44 PSI, we went from 1 coolant filter in the old mill up to 2 to allow longer life of the filters themselves and prevent a higher rate of water flow and coolant flow to the milling chamber. Again, LAN and USB connectivity. V panel integration, just like the dry mills, the V panel is included. And the cam, the nice thing about our wet machine, it's bundled with the cam software. So it's not an additional add-on. When you pay the MSRP pricing or whatever price your dealer gives you, the cam software is included. So in the box, you have everything that you need other than a computer to install the software on, distilled water, and milling blocks. Everything else, one set of tools will come inside of that machine for you to be up and running. So the cam software is included. So with that cam software, you get 2 years of updates. There's no charge for those updates. Once that 2 years expires, we do not shut off your software. We do not send you a letter saying, hey, you owe us this much. It's up to you at that point whether you select the option to pay for upgrades as you go at that point. So we do not force you into having to pay for a software. You can continue to use that software for 10 more years as it sits as of that date. You just would not receive upgrades at that point. We've also increased the size of the coolant mixing, the coolant tank in the bottom of the unit. If you look at the machine, you can see that there's a drawer down there. It was 3,000 milliliters. We've upgraded that to 5,000, which means it's going to last longer, less maintenance for you to do. So the latest and greatest from Roland, what's new? Maybe you've seen it in Chicago. Maybe this is the first time you're seeing it now. But everybody's becoming more and more interested in milling abutments. So enter the Ak1, the abutment kit for the DWX 42W. People have been asking for it, and we've finally been able to bring it to you. So this is going to allow you with an existing 42W or a new one to add on a fixture and be able to mill titanium blanks from a manufacturer we'll discuss in an upcoming slide in-house. So keep your production in-house, not have to wait days for a custom abutment to be created and shipped to you, not knowing what the quality or the outcome is going to be until it arrives. Now you can bring it in-house for an affordable price. So let's talk about the Ak1 a little bit. So the market itself, abutments used here in the US, from a poll that was done by LMT, 60% of abutments that are milled here in the US are custom abutments. Probably a very, very small number of those are done in-house, and most of them are probably outsourced. 27% of those are stock abutments, and 13%, surprisingly, to most of us, are waxed and cast abutments. So out of those abutments that are milled, 79% of those are titanium, and only 21% of them are zirconia. So we can see there's a trend here. There is a pretty good demand, and anytime that we can be milling a restoration inside of our dry mill, final restoration with an abutment in-house, that obviously makes our turnaround time quicker, and it allows us to produce more work in-house and increase our profits. So really great option here. The numbers can't lie. So that procedure would look a little bit like this. So on the left, we see our pre-milled titanium block. That's what you would start with. You would add that to the adapter inside of the 42W. And once the milling is complete, you would have your custom abutment in-house. So most of these abutments, the average milling time for an abutment in the 42W is about 50 to 55 minutes. So in an average working day, you're looking at probably producing 10 custom abutments in-house. So what does this kit look like? So what you're going to do if you're interested in this workflow is you're going to purchase the Ak1 kit itself. That kit will include one tray dedicated filter that you can see here. It's basically a wire mesh that sits on the pre-existing coolant tank to make sure that those titanium flakes and debris do not go into the tank themselves, which could damage or cause issues, flow issues with the filters inside of the liquid. You're going to get the torque wrench. You're going to get one set of ZTB tools. These tools are dedicated for titanium milling. So they look a lot like a really beefy carbide tool that would cut PMMA or plastic in the mill that you're using today. It also comes with a tray, replacement filters. So that's 2 additional filters that would go inside of your existing coolant tank, a wrench. So a wrench for the fixture to be placed inside of the machine, as well as a manual. So on the right here, these are your options. So these are the options for third-party titanium blank manufacturers. The 3 that we have validated and created fixtures for are shown here on the right. So you would purchase the 1 kit, the Ak1 kit, and then you would choose which titanium blank manufacturer you would want to go with. So you'd have the option of Geomedi, Medentica, and NT. So NT Trading, NT USA. So those would be the choices that you would have on what titanium blanks could go inside of your machine. Here's a quick look at those tools themselves and their sizes. It's going to use a 1.5, a 3 millimeter, a 2 millimeter, and a 1 millimeter milling tool. So it's going to be a grinding tool. It's going to look like a lot like carbide. And we can see here, this is what the milling chamber would look like when it was cutting. So the A-axis is going to operate like a lathe and spin. So we get complete milling detail on, subgingival, as well as the abutment portion, the prep portion of the abutment itself. Here we can see the titanium blank, and this is where our attachment fits. So we'd only be able to produce 1 abutment blank at a time. Now, if we were milling glass ceramic blocks, we do have 3 options. So we can mill up to 3 block materials at once, but only 1 abutment at one time. Hopefully that makes sense. So things you need to do before you go ahead and mill an abutment in your 42W. First, you need the 42W. And as I described, you need to purchase the Ak1 kit. And then you need to pick which manufacturer you're going to align yourself with, whether it's NT, Medentica, or Geomedi. So you're going to install the add-on for the Ak1. So it would be the nesting procedure inside of the software you're already using with your 42W. But you're going to want to make sure that your V panel is updated to 344, your firmware is updated, and your drivers are updated. Before you pop this in, you should probably reach out to your dealer and make sure that they have updated your system entirely to make sure that you're going to be successful the first time you use this workflow. So one of the biggest things is service and support. Every Roland mill that is sold comes with a 2-year warranty, 1 year when it ships, and once you receive your machine, it should be registered on our website. That activates the 2nd year of warranty. You may see from time to time that we just ran last quarter a free 3rd year of warranty, so keep your eye out and make sure you take advantage of promos as you see them. So that warranty covers all parts. It covers somebody coming out on site if it's under warranty and doing any repairs. And that warranty does cover 1 spindle in that 2-year time frame. So when we sell you a mill, we expect that you're going to be using it daily and hitting that 2,000 hour mark for that spindle unit. And we would send you another one. Once the validation steps are taken through your dealer and our support team to confirm, yes, a new spindle is required in that 2-year time frame, we would gladly replace that spindle for you. We also offer service membership. So when you do purchase a mill and you want a 3rd year, 4th year, or 5th year of warranty, you would have an option to buy that upfront. So you could purchase that. The only requirement is you must purchase an extended warranty before your current warranty expires. So just like a car or anything else, any other appliance you have, you can purchase that service membership while your machine is still under warranty. So that's a great thing to know about. So what are the real production benefits to aligning yourself with Roland and really choosing Roland DGSHAPE? Cost versus value. So what is the cost of your equipment? What is the cost of the things you're bringing into the lab? And really, what is the value that it brings to you? Those 2 things are often confused, and it's something that I always point out that you think about. What is this costing me? But what is the value that it really brings to my production? Do not confuse the 2. So the cost of operation, the maintenance in these machines, the maintenance in our units is very, very low. And when you do have to replace parts, something like the spindle, when you're out of warranty, we make our spindles very, very affordable. So for $1,500, you can replace your own spindle and be up and running in no time with overnight shipment. So again, on that note, it is a user replaceable spindle, which means if you have one machine and you're down and you have a backup on hand, In less than a half hour, you have your machine up and running again, cutting crowns. That's a great option. You don't have to wait for a technician to be shipped out, whether it's a week or 2 weeks. You know, what do you do at that point? You have to find an option to outsource. Very low air consumption. When you look at our air consumption compared to some of our competitors out in the market, we're a fraction of the air consumption as some of those other machines. Open system for CAD and CAM. That's really, really important. Nobody likes to be locked into one specific workflow or one specific scanner or one specific CAM. So our mill, as long as you're producing a milling file that is in STL, which would be a PRN and sent over to our machine, you can use any design system or any CAM system that has our machine profiles in it. So we want to keep everything open. We don't want to lock you into having to buy a Roland scanner, which we don't have, or any other Roland equipment. You know, as long as you have that hardware, we want you to have the option to choose the equipment that you're comfortable with. Open tooling. There's a lot of different tool manufacturers out in the market. You want to check with your dealer. You want to check with Whitmix who they recommend for you to use. Their strategy may be custom tailored to that tool. So there are a lot of different options out there for tooling, but always remember, in a lot of cases, you usually get what you pay for. So there's high quality and there's very, very cheap economy tools, but we want to give you that choice. The user should have the choice of what they use. Separate wet and dry software. So we don't utilize the same software for our wet and our dry mills. What we want is for you to be set up to have 2 different workstations, for one person to be wet nesting your block materials or your glass ceramic, nano ceramic restorations, while another technician is nesting your dentures, RPD frames, or crowns. 2 people nesting at one time is much more productive than one person waiting for one technician to finish using the computer so they can get their turn. DGSHAPE. DGSHAPE, you may have noticed that more things are becoming branded DGSHAPE. DGSHAPE is the digital division of Roland. So we are still a part of Roland. Over the next year to 2 years, you're going to start to notice that we're making a transition. We're kind of moving into branding ourselves and our equipment as DGSHAPE and moving away from labeling ourselves Roland. Now, what this is going to do is it doesn't change anything with manufacturing. There's rumor that it's a knockoff mill. That is far from the case. The equipment is still built in the same exact locations by the same people, comes here. What DGSHAPE has done for us and is going to do for you, the end user, is going to give more resources to DGSHAPE. So now we have our own department with our own people who are focusing on dental applications only. So that's going to bring newer solutions to you, upgrades to your machines faster. So this is going to benefit us, the dealers, and the end users by us moving into this DGSHAPE type branding. Simple operation. So simple operation really reduces the learning curve. If you have new hires, people coming in with a technology background, but maybe not a dental milling background, you need them to be up and running as quickly as possible. I know from experience that training a new person with no experience in model and die is a time-consuming thing. We can't have you waste that much time. With the production levels that we see today, we need you to be up and running as quickly as possible. And in most cases, you can have a new person nesting and milling restorations in very, very little time. So we need to keep you up and running and get your people educated quickly. On education, something that people don't often take advantage of is if you go to our website and under our dental section, we actually have a YouTube channel that goes over a lot of procedures like maintenance and basic steps for our equipment itself. So if you have someone new, it's a great resource to be able to sit somebody down and let them take a look and peruse through and watch the videos. And within an hour to 2 hours, it's going to give them all the information that they would need. So simplifying cutting edge workflows, this kind of ties into DGSHAPE. So when we look at digital workflows, there's a lot of different things we can do now. And we want to be able to take things like a pre-manufactured denture-based puck and find a way to make that workflow cheaper for the end user. And one of the ways that we've done that is allowing you to pour your own pucks and save about $40 per puck. So, you know, we're always looking out for you, trying to find more affordable, more simplified ways for you to continue to go digital. So the last portion here, I just want to talk to you guys about some of the benefits of bundling with Roland. We recognize since we don't have a hybrid mill, we want to have a solution for you that you can go ahead and upgrade your milling fleet. So up top here, we have a combination for $49,995. It is the DWX 42W with the 52D. When you bundle equipment like this, you automatically save. When you buy 2 mills at a time, like in a scenario like this, you can save $5,000 to $10,000 right off the top. One of the benefits of bundling and having all like mills in your workflow, you can run up to 4 Roland mills connected to one PC, which allows for simplified, streamlined workflows. Again, the affordable spindles, if you have 4 or 5 Roland mills lined up, you can keep 1 spindle stocked at all times, and that would be able to pop into any one of your dry mills or your wet mills at an affordable cost. Cost-effective accessories. We talked about the material adapters before. Competitive mills in the market, one of those material adapters can sell from anywhere from $500 to $800 per piece. So for you to outfit one of these large mills that holds a huge amount of pucks at one time, it could cost you, $10,000 to $12,000 just to buy those adapters themselves. If you want to buy more adapters from us, we sell them in 6-packs at $250 for the 6-pack. So very, very affordable. Very low maintenance, other than keeping them clean, calibrated, greasing the rails to make sure they're moving smoothly and properly. Maintenance is very low. The DCI offers unattended production. Again, as I described before, whether it's zirconia, PMMA, wax, dentures, RPDs, load your machine up, go home, and feel comfortable that when you come in the morning, you know that the machine is going to have completed your work for you, and you're going to have that unattended milling production. When you compare a bundle like this, a wet and a dry mill together, to a competitive hybrid mill out in the market, there's one thing to think about. What is more productive? 1 spindle running or having 2 machines running simultaneously producing the same work? Time and time again, the 2 units compared to the 1 at that very similar price point is going to outproduce that 1 hybrid mill every single day of the week. So think about that. One of our productivity packs, this is new this year that we decided to offer, and this is at some significant discounting. If you're in the market for 2 DCIs, you really need that high level of production. Buy 2 DCIs at one time, and you would have over $13,000 of savings there. We have a similar package with the 2 DCIs with 1 wet mill added, and you would be at about $15,000 in discount for buying them together. So no matter whether you're a small lab or large lab, we have a promotion for you. So right now, anybody who has a 50, we do have a 50 trade-in program. Those machines have been around for about 10 years now. And if you're interested in getting out of that, we will discount a new Roland mill for you by $6,000. So $6,000 in savings for trading in your new DCI, trading in your old DWX 50 to a 52D or a DCI. So that old machine gets replaced. You get new cutting edge workflows, and you're also re-upping to a full 2-year warranty, full coverage. No more worrying about, is this machine going to break down? Am I going to have to repair it? So it's a nice peace of mind there. And any of these promotions, anything that you want to discuss, I recommend you reaching out to Sherry Weatherby. I work very closely with her. She's an ace. She's really, really good, and she really cares about taking care of you guys. So if you're interested, I highly recommend reaching out to Sherry, and I'd be happy to work with you as well. Find what you need or get you the answers that you need. So that's the end of my presentation, but what I'd like to leave you with is, as we're going through this time and there's this work stoppage, I want you to think about what your plan is for your business. Now, it's my feeling that when this restarts and we come out of the back end of this dark and slow time, I think that the production volumes are going to increase. There's going to be a lot of work. I think a lot of outsourced work that may have been leaving the US is very likely going to stay. And what's your plan? What's your plan for your business the way it looks today to where you might need to be in 3 months? Whether it's a printer, an additional scanning seat, or maybe another mill, start thinking about your plan and how you want your business to look 3 to 6 months from now and what you need to be ready for. So with that, thank you for taking the time today to stop in and check out the Roland equipment. Here's my contact information. You can obviously reach out to anybody from the Whitmix team. They're happy to help. I'm happy to jump in if you have questions. Type them in now, and I'm going to turn it over to Bernie and see if you guys have anything else for me.
Well, thanks, Ian. Great job as always. And yes, there are questions. And I will just say to everyone that as a member of a company that knows mills, sells mills, uses mills, there just is nothing like Roland out there, and that's truth. Roland makes an amazing product. And by the way, I should also tell you, Ian, that at the beginning you were talking about Roland manufacturing other types of equipment besides dental. And one thing you didn't mention is Roland drums, which I'm a drummer and I've been playing Roland drums for a lot of years.
And we've talked about that before. That slipped my mind.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, there's some questions. First one is, how can I monitor the performance? How can I monitor the performance?
Already, that may have been asked prior to me talking about the DWX software. So the DWX software would monitor, I think that's what they're referring to, is the overall performance of their equipment. It's kind of a vague question. So if the person's still there and they want to follow up, or email me or give me a call, I'll be happy to talk to you there.
Okay. Second question is, how strong is the spindle?
The spindle, for all applications that we have, we don't have a number per se on the spindle strength itself, but we're able to mill PMMAs, denture acrylics very, very nicely. We have no issues. You take care in nesting the proper way to prevent yourself from having any sort of collisions or issues. And we can produce all the workflows that I discussed without question. Now, that said, we are also telling you we do not recommend you milling metals inside of the machine. That is not what these machines are designed for, these hard, solid metals. So we do not recommend that you do that at this time.
Okay. Next question. After 2 years, do you have an extended warranty, or how much is the update? I know you covered that.
Yep, I did cover that, and it's the prices on those vary depending on the type of mill you have. So they will go up from 52D would be the cheapest, then the DCI with the disc changer, followed by the 42W. Because it's wet and it's such a robust spindle for the applications that it performs, that would be the most expensive option. But yes, as long as you're inside that 2-year window, you could purchase third, fourth, or fifth year.
Okay. Next question is, what is the name of the new performance software?
Okay, so I covered that. That is the DWX software. So again, if you visit our website, www.dgshapeusa.com, you will be able to find that information on the site.
Okay. Next, why would I want to purchase the combo if the 42W now mills abutments?
Well, it's different applications. The 42W would be utilized for block materials. So if you have interest in milling full arch zirconia, full arch PMMA, any of those applications, it's going to be geared towards our dry mills with those 98.5 millimeter pucks. The 42W would mill block materials, nano composites, lithium disilicates, lithium silicates, and now titanium blanks, but it would not currently mill any type of zirconia. So different applications, the machines have really different purposes.
Okay, good. Next one is, does the removable kit come with it when purchased?
It does not come bundled with it, but if there's interest out there, we would certainly be interested in talking to you and figuring that out with you.
Okay, next one is 4 mills on 1 PC. I was told I can't run both versions of Millbox, wet and dry, on the same PC.
There is some confusion with that. You can run them on the same PC. The confusion would come from the computer recognizing 2 dongles at the same time. And anybody who's doing digital today knows that the dongles is the CAM software licensing. There are ways that we can work around that. Obviously, running a wet and 3 dries using 2 different softwares, it's maybe not as productive as keeping them on 2 PCs, but it certainly is doable. So you can reach out to me and I can help you navigate that process if you need more help.
Okay, next question is on the DWX 52 DCI. Do you have available the disc holder open like DWX 51D?
I think there's a lot of buzz going around right now about the C clamp holder. The 51D had a half moon C clamp, which allowed for 90-degree milling. So we did highlight that in Chicago. It is something that DGSHAPE is working on, and we don't have it today, but it's something that we're hoping for sometime this year.
Great. Next, can I get where I can find out the program to add dentures to my milling machine?
Yeah, I could certainly help you with that, or I would recommend you reaching out to the dealer you purchased it from. I'm hoping it's Whitmix. The technical team over there could easily help you with that.
Okay, thank you. Great presentation. Newbie here. Can you mill abutments with the 4W?
The 42W, yes, you
42,
can. Probably asked that before we got to that portion.
Okay. Hi, can you run these remotely?
If you had an application, obviously your challenge would be loading jobs. But you would be, as long as you could remotely access your computer and your puck was already in the machine, there's no real reason why you couldn't nest if you had the proper pucks inside the machine. So to a degree, yes, these could be run remotely.
Okay, and the person asked about the newbie here, can you mill abutments with the, she said 4W, but she said not 42, but the 4W.
Oh, okay, I understand what they're asking. They were asking specifically about the 4W. No, we will not be putting the kit out there for the 4W. The reason being, this is geared towards the new spindle that we have in the 42W, which is much more powerful. And we're not going to put that application inside of the 44W because the difference in the spindles.
All right, and the last question, at least so far, is as Roland has the availability to mill like a solid denture like Ivoclar's Ivotion, is that the name of it? Anyway, yeah. Does Roland have the ability to mill a solid denture?
So there's different ways that you could mill a solid denture. I think what they're referring to is potentially a puck that has both the tissue shade as well as the tooth shade.
Right.
So you could technically use one of those pucks inside of the mill, yes. Or you can use something like a solid PMMA. When we talk about PMMA in denture application, mill denture application, you want to make sure your PMML is DCL material, dual crosslink. It has the similar wear characteristics of a traditional denture tooth. So you want to ask whoever you're buying your PMMA from if the material is DCL dual crosslink or double crosslink. That's key. So you could take a solid tooth shade PMMA as well and mill out a denture base that has the teeth on it already, and then take a composite type material and customize the gingiva area. So there's a lot of different ways you could skin this cat for sure, but yes, technically you could.
Perfect. Thank you, Ian. There are no other questions. I just remind everyone that if you're a CDT, this program has been is worth 1 hour toward your recertification. You will receive an email within a day or two, and that'll give you exactly the information you need as to how to obtain that credit. It does involve a very simple true or false test. And then also the webinar has been recorded. It will be up on our website homepage webinar section tomorrow, latest day after, and then of course on our YouTube channel as well. So I'd like to thank everybody so much for joining us. We try to do as many webinars as we can. They are either every other week or every third week. We have more than just these webinars going on now, lots of social media activity, and we have a digital training session. Go to our webpage, homepage, and take a look at that, because we have a great 3 times a week digital learning experience with our 3 digital technicians. Are probably the best in the business, I would say, and they're great. So we invite you all to tune in. You can register for those 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday programs on our website homepage. So once again, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.